Shout out to each and every one of you guys right now. I am what you need. You can subscribe to my channel, as well as if you like this video, you can donate to my channel via Western Union or MoneyGram. If you want any details, let me know. Intangible Boxing commented saying, I read someone say Froch was better than Calzaghe all time. How would you compare their resumes and them as fighters? Now, Intangible Boxing went on to actually do a video on this. I will try to leave his video link in the description below. But I will try to add to some of the things he did not say. I will leave some comments on his video a little later on. So Intangible Boxing, if you're watching this video, it's because I didn't leave comments on your video yet. I just watched your video. And I will be leaving comments on your video. Don't worry about it. But this is a good question. Now, most people will look at that and say, that's a stupid question. Calzaghe, obviously, because most people think of greatness and not of better than. Notice, the question was, is Joe Calzaghe a better fighter than Carl Froch? Better. So, to know if somebody's better, there are two things you do. You look at their resume, and you also look at their fights. Okay? So, since Intangible Boxing went through a lot of Joe Calzaghe's resume already, I'm not going to waste too much time on it. I'm just going to just include the fighters and champions, future champions, former champions, or present champions that he left out. So, one of them that he left out was Seikyo Bika, when he was talking about Joe Calzaghe. Seikyo Bika was not a world champion at the time, but he was a very tough fight for Joe Calzaghe. It's very important to remember him. And also, he forgot to mention Byron Mitchell. Now, even though Joe Calzaghe knocked out Byron Mitchell in 2 rounds, it seems to say, that is not the true story. The true story is Byron Mitchell, even though he doesn't move his head and all of that, and he was a strong guy, he actually knocked down Calzaghe in the 2nd round. Calzaghe knocked him down in the 2nd round as well, returned it. But I thought the fight was prematurely stopped by the referee. Calzaghe had caught Byron Mitchell with a shot. Byron just staggered across the ring, and the referee just stopped the fight, which is stupid. And Byron Mitchell was angry. He protested it because he was known as a very durable fighter. So, this is one of the points you need to note. There was a little bit of controversy there. In addition, Byron Mitchell was also shared a common opponent, which Calzaghe never faced in his career, and this must be noted. Byron Mitchell also faced an opponent who was from Germany. Oof. Let me go back in time a little bit here. Sven Otnick. Sven Otnick, which you see right here. I don't know why the fucking glare of the light now and the out of focusness of the camera. Camera's playing up its ass. But anyway, Sven Otnick also beat him. He beat him by split decision. It was a close-ass fight. And Sven Otnick, ironically, was never faced by Joe Calzaghe, another undefeated fighter, skilled fighter from Germany. Never was faced by Joe Calzaghe. Now, these are very important points to remember, because when you're talking about better boxers and resumes, it's important to know that the box is tested on every end. And Sven Otnick was rated quite highly in the super middleweight rankings, but never faced Calzaghe. And then people will say, well, oh, you know, Sven Otnick probably wanted to fight in Germany, and it might have been in fear because, like, all of that might be true. But the truth be told, Carl Froch crossed the seas into the United States of America and faced American judges and American judging to be where he was at. So this is all very important points to remember. I'm not saying that Calzaghe didn't do that. Some other points that Intangible Boxing did, you will need to check Intangible Boxing video for that. But by and large, I'm going to give us a summary based on Calzaghe and just kind of summarize some of the things that Intangible was saying, but in my own way. Basically, I regarded the following people as opponents that we need to consider when we're talking about Calzaghe. Byron Mitchell, even though he wasn't a world champion, was a former world champion. So I include Byron Mitchell as an opponent worthy that Calzaghe faced. as well as Sekio Bika. And I still include Jeff Lacey because Jeff Lacey was a world champion and the IBF world champion that crossed the seas to face Jeff Lacey. So I do include him. But what you will find is that the fuck is his name now? Joe Calzaghe, he actually faced 6 known opponents or accomplished opponents. Roy Jones Jr., Bernard Hopkins, Mikhail Kessler, Sekio Bika, Jeff Lacey, Byron Mitchell, and Chris Eubank. I do not include Robin Reed because he did not accomplish much in his career. Then at least he never became world champion. Okay? These are the guys. And Intangible will go into each one of them, but really the guys which really count in this equation would really be 4 of them. Chris Eubank you'll have to eliminate, as well as Roy Jones Jr. And Intangible will explain to you why. So go watch this video. Carl Froch. So very quickly, there's something that Intangible missed out, and I just want to add to Intangible stuff. So it's very important you guys check Intangible's video. Carl Froch is very important. He was a good fighter. Became a world champion. Mikhail Kessler, Lucian Bute. In the Bute fight, I want to say that Carl Froch actually had good boxing skills. You know, a lot of times, and the Bute was a southpaw at that. Not only he's avoided southpaw, but he was a notoriously powerful southpaw. And Bute would throw down the wrong line against Froch. And Froch is a guy, he likes to mix it up. He loves firefights. He does very well in those things. If you box him a move, it's a little bit harder. But he'll still come get you. He was a tough, strong guy. So Lucian Bute, he got dusted by Carl Froch. And this is an undefeated Lucian Bute. Andre Ward outboxed his ass, but he faced Andre Ward. Something that I noticed Intangible Boxing did not mention in the list of high-quality opponents. Remember, you have to talk about the high-quality opponents you face. Yeah, you also talk about those you beat, but you also have to talk about those you face. Because Sven Utnik did not face Calzaghe, we can't know if he would have lose or won to that guy. You see what I'm saying? Whereas we know Carl Froch faced everybody. Calzaghe didn't face everybody. Get what I'm saying? This is very important to remember. So you got Andrew Ward, Glenn Johnson. Well, you already know he was over the hill. Arthur Abraham, Mikhail Kessler. I do not include Andre Duell only because he did not become world champion. He was a skill boxer, though. Jermaine Taylor and Jean Pascal. That's 8 top-tier opponents. Now, one was past his due time, so he really faced 7. So 7, top-tier guys to 4 for Calzaghe. All right, but here's the thing, though. While Carl Froch did face a number of world-class opponents and a number of Hall of Famers, all right, definitely Mikhail Kessler is probably going to be a Hall of Famer, as well as Andre Ward, okay, Jermaine Taylor probably as well. He did not face as many prominent guys who may go into the Boxing Hall of Fame as Calzaghe. So I would say that Calzaghe got the name brand, but Carl Froch, he got the names. He got the real guys. He got the real guys when they were strong, when they were, a force to be reckoned with. Excuse me. Now, you cannot talk about somebody being better than somebody else if you're just going off a resume. You also have to look at what they look like in the ring. And Joe Calzaghe's style was high throughput. So he had a lot of activity. He wasn't very accurate, to be honest with you. He had been dropped several times. His defense was really mostly his offense. He wasn't really that great a defensive fighter. He would duck under punches and get people to miss punches, but for the most part, he was dropped at least 4 or 5 times in his career. Carl Froch was dropped only once in his career, and that was by George Groves. to the end of his career, when he was fading a bit. So, Kyle Froch proves to be the tougher dude, one. Two, Kyle Froch loves a firefight, works the body, and he gets stronger and stronger as fights go along. And he has underrated boxing skills. Okay? He slips punches pretty well. He stays out of the line of certain punches. And especially in firefights where guys are overextending themselves, he can counterpunch them and actually get them out of there. He likes trades. So Calzaghe is actually a perfect opponent for Kyle Froch. Kyle Froch hasn't been in too many controversial decisions. One of them was against Andre Durrell. And as Intangible Boxing will explain to you, you will find out a little bit more why he says that. Whereas Calzaghe was in a number of controversial decisions in his career. The Hopkins decision, like I just told you, the Byron Mitchell's decision, and the Reed decision, as well as a couple others that I didn't mention, which were not as high-profile fights, where Calzaghe got early stoppages, or sometimes the guy gets stopped and he's complaining. I think, I'm trying to remember the fight, where the fighter is like, what? He looks at the ref like, what? Because he's blocking the punches. Calzaghe's throwing a whole set of combinations, but the guy's blocking most of his shots, you know? And I think that Joe Calzaghe, because he's so active, but not very accurate, to me, he was nothing special. To me, he was just quirky and awkward. He didn't really have pizzazz. He didn't really have flash. He looked very awkward and weird when he did things. But that's why I was never really a fan of him. But at the same time, I understand why British people and UK people would embrace him. Because, one, he ended his career undefeated. And two, he was, depending on what you like. If you like activity, he was exciting to watch. But if you like style and pizzazz and that kind of thing, then he was a huge bore and somebody you just detested to see. But that was basically Joe Calzaghe. I got to give him his props because he stepped up, went up to lightweight, went across the seas and faced these guys. Even though I don't want to call Bernard Hopkins past his prime, but I would say that, Bernard Hopkins was a guy that already lost to some people. Jermaine Taylor, for example, he had lost also to, I think it's Chad Dawson. So Chad Dawson had beaten him, and I think Jermaine Taylor had beaten him. So in that respect, I guess, there was sort of a formula to beat him, and, Calzaghe was longer than him and stuff. But I still thought that Bernard Hopkins won that fight. I actually had scored the fight like Adelaide Bird does. I think Adelaide Bird and myself, we score fights pretty much the same way. And so I thought it was 114-113 for Bernard Hopkins. I thought it was going to be either a draw. The fight would have been even, but because of the knockdown, I thought Hopkins edged it. But it is what it is. So check out Intangible Boxing. His link will be down below. But in terms of fighting styles now, Kyle Froch was a much more sturdier guy, much stronger guy. Really shone really well as the fight progressed. He'd get stronger and stronger, better and better, more adapted to your style and what you were doing boxing-wise. Honestly speaking, I thought that Kyle Froch, I thought Calzaghe could outpoint him if they would ever have fought, or Kyle Froch would have stopped his ass. And I lean towards Kyle Froch stopping him. So, at the end of the day, I think because Kyle Froch faced, in my opinion, the tougher competition than Calzaghe faced, and the fact that Calzaghe get caught in between his combinations, I liken Calzaghe to a Amir Khan. I liken Kyle Froch to a Mickey Ward, but much more skilled Mickey Ward. And I think that Kyle Froch would have gotten Calzaghe out of there because Kyle Froch would get the W. Calzaghe would have to box around Kyle Froch. He would not be able to bully him and just come in on him and throw a hail of punches. And because of that, I think Kyle Froch would have knocked his ass the fuck out. A lot of people think that Calzaghe was stronger than he was. Early in his career, he really put some leverage into his punches, but even then, he got caught, he gets dropped, by nobodies, dropped his ass. And he would take his punch up, but really, he never really was in any real serious problems because the guys who he was facing weren't getting stronger and stronger as the fight goes on. And I think Kyle Froch would have been the dude to take him out because his offense was his defense. And I just truly believe Carl Froch would have knocked him the fuck out. He wouldn't have made it to the finish line. Because Carl Froch was a guy, he would hurt you and then he would finish you. And so I truly believe that Carl Froch would have got him out of there. And but just looking at the style, some people say Calzaghe was the better boxer. I wouldn't really say that. I'll say he was southpaw. I'll say he was a busier boxer than Carl Froch. But Carl Froch loved that. He loved that you busy because that's when he can catch you. If you're not throwing nothing and you're just totally defensive, it's hard for him to beat you. If you move around the ring a lot too, it gives him a little bit of problems, like with Andre Durrell, that fight. But again, you gotta be accurate. And Calzaghe wasn't really necessarily accurate. He just keep on throwing. He wasn't necessarily accurate. He'd be hitting gloves, you know, and he just keep on pounding away. So I think because he used so much offense, it leaves so many holes in his defense that you could tag his ass. And he counted on the southpaw style, I think, a little too much. So I think Carl Froch would have got him. Anyway, you guys leave in the comment section what you want to say about this fight. Intangible Boxing, Tommy Temper. I know Tommy Temper is a Joe Calzaghe fan. I'm not really a Joe Calzaghe fan. I'm not really a Carl Froch fan. But I'm just thinking about it, and I've been weighing it for the entire day. I think Carl Froch would have get his ass. So I think of the two fighters, to be honest with you, all around, when you look at resume and then you look at the boxing skills, I think I got Carl Froch being a better boxer than Calzaghe. And definitely Carl Froch going to go into the Boxing Hall of Fame. Joe Calzaghe faced more Hall of Famers than... Or did he? I probably the same amount of Hall of Famers. But I mean, legendary fighters, I think Calzaghe had those names under his resume. Carl Froch got legendary fighters too, but not of that esteem as like a Bernard Hopkins, how people see them, or Roy Jones Jr. or Chris Eubank Jr., you know. So it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I think that, yeah, Calzaghe's probably a greater boxer than Carl Froch, but I think Carl Froch is a better one all around when you think about it, not just in terms of boxing skills and technique, but also in terms of getting the W and finding a way to win, as well as the kind of competition he was tested with to find a way to win. And yeah, he lost some. He lost against Kessler, whereas Calzaghe beat Kessler. And by the way, Calzaghe beating Kessler, I thought Kessler got some good shots in on Calzaghe too. You know, and the younger Kessler was a little bit less experienced, but he was undefeated. So I give Calzaghe all the props for that one. But at the end of the day, I think that Calzaghe would have gotten knocked out by Carl Froch. Carl Froch is a different kind of beast, and you saw what Carl Froch did to Kessler in the rematch. You know, and Kessler did land some good shots on Froch, and Froch was unfazed and just kept going, you know what I'm saying? And really beat up Kessler. So I think Carl Froch would be the dude that would have given Calzaghe problems. Now, the other point is Calzaghe was undefeated. So since nobody ever beat Calzaghe, on paper at least, you know, you can't really say that Carl Froch would just beat him. So the most you could say is that Carl Froch had a much more challenging resume of fighters, much more, and better, more challenging fights. You know, he had Andre Ward on his resume, and I'm pretty sure Calzaghe would never have beaten Andre Ward. That's one guy I think he'd have lost to, definitely. If Bernard Hopkins was giving him that much problems, just imagine Andre Ward. I'm just saying. So, you know, it is what it is, but Carl Froch faced Andre Ward. You know what I mean? I mean, you're talking about pound for pound, the number one fighter in the world before he retired, Andre Ward. Calzaghe never faced nobody like that. So, you know, you figure out what that means. On that note, you guys have a good one. Leave the comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget also, if you like this video, donate to this channel. Do yourself a favor and support somebody who really wants to support boxing. Have a good one. Deuces.